There comes a moment in trading when you finally realize something you were never prepared to face. A moment when the charts stop being charts, when the candles stop being candles, when the market stops being a financial landscape, and instead becomes a mirror. A mirror so honest, so unforgiving, so unfiltered that it shows you parts of yourself you've spent years trying to hide. Trading will show you the parts of yourself you are afraid to see, and for most people, that realization is more terrifying than any loss. At first, you think you're here to learn strategy. You think you're here to master entries, time your exits, manage risk, read structure, decode patterns. You think you're here to conquer the markets. But the market is not something you conquer. The market is something you survive, something you study, something you learn to respect. And eventually you discover that the market isn't testing your strategy. The market is testing your identity. You think you know who you are. You think you're disciplined, patient, calm, logical. You think you're the kind of person who doesn't crack under pressure, who doesn't rush decisions, who doesn't let emotions get in the way. But then the market puts you in a situation where you are forced to meet the version of yourself that lives behind your confidence. The fearful version. The impulsive version. The emotional version. The version you tried to keep quiet everywhere else in your life. Trading brings that version to the surface, whether you want it there or not. I remember the first time this happened to me. I had been trading long enough to feel confident, but not long enough to understand what that confidence was built on. I thought I was solid. I thought I was evolving. I thought I had found my rhythm. And then one day, during a quiet session, nothing dramatic, nothing unusual, I took a trade that seemed perfectly normal. A routine setup, one I'd seen hundreds of times. But the moment it moved slightly against me, something inside me cracked. Not because of the loss. Not because of fear. Because I suddenly felt a wave of something deeper. Something that didn't belong to the chart at all. I felt exposed. It was as if the market peeled back a layer of me I didn't even know existed. It wasn't about whether the trade would win or lose. It was about realizing how desperately I wanted the trade to work because of how it would make me feel about myself. I wasn't trading the chart. I was trading my own insecurity. I was trading my need for validation. I was trading my fear of being wrong. I was trading the emotional baggage I had carried into the market without realizing it. And the market saw all of it. You cannot hide from yourself in trading. Not forever. Eventually the chart drags your hidden patterns into the light, and you're forced to confront them in real time. If you are impatient in life, you will be impatient in the market. If you avoid discomfort in life, you will avoid taking losses. If you run from responsibility, you will run from accountability. If you fear being wrong, you will hold losers. If you need to be right, you will overtrade. If you suppress your emotions, they will erupt during volatility. Trading does not create your flaws. Trading exposes them. It makes them impossible to ignore. I once worked with a trader who believed he had mastered discipline. He meditated every morning. He journaled. He exercised. He studied charts obsessively. From the outside, he looked like the picture of self-control. But every time the market moved against him just slightly, he would panic. He would scale out early, move stops irrationally, or scrap the entire plan altogether. It confused him. He told me, "I don't understand. I'm disciplined in every other part of my life." I told him the truth. Discipline in life protects you from discomfort. But discipline in trading forces you to sit inside discomfort. And those are not the same skill. The market doesn't test the disciplined version of you. It tests the emotional version of you. The one you pretend doesn't exist. The one you hide in every other part of your life. The one you refuse to acknowledge because acknowledging it would mean confronting the parts of yourself you're afraid to look at. The market doesn't care who you think you are. The market responds to who you actually are. Trading showed me that I wasn't as patient as I believed. It showed me that I wasn't as calm as I pretended. It showed me that I wasn't as rational as I thought. It showed me that I was carrying emotional weight from my past, weight I had never processed, weight I had never confronted, weight that leaked into every decision I made behind the screen. There was a moment where I realized I wasn't reacting to the chart. I was reacting to memories. To emotions. To fears I carried from years of failure. To expectations I placed on myself. To feelings of inadequacy I buried beneath ambition. The chart wasn't moving against me. My past was. And when that truth hit me, it broke something inside me. But it also freed something inside me. Because once you see the parts of yourself the market reveals, you can no longer pretend they aren't there. And that honesty, that brutal, uncomfortable honesty, becomes the beginning of transformation. You start trading differently. Not because your strategy changes, but because your identity changes. You begin to notice when your emotions are speaking instead of your logic. You begin to see when your wounds are trading for you. You begin to feel the difference between intuition and impulse. Between awareness and fear. Between clarity and chaos. And most importantly, You begin to understand that trading is not a game of charts. Trading is a game of self-confrontation. The reason most traders fail is not because they are unskilled, not because they are undisciplined, not because they lack strategy. They fail because they refuse to meet the version of themselves the market reveals. They fail because the truth feels heavier than the losses. They fail because their emotional patterns are stronger than their plans. They fail because they are fighting their identity with the same intensity they should be fighting their impulses. The market will always show you the truth. The question is whether you will accept it. There comes a moment when the lie you carry about yourself becomes too heavy to hold. A moment where the market forces you into a confrontation you've spent your whole life avoiding. And in that confrontation, you discover the real obstacle. It was never the chart. It was never the strategy. It was never the timing. It was you. And the moment you accept that, you finally gain power. Because the version of you that hides cannot trade. The version of you that denies cannot grow. The version of you that pretends cannot evolve. But the version of you that is willing to face the truth, the version that is willing to meet the darkness inside yourself, that version is dangerous. That version can trade. That version can grow. That version can become consistent. Not because the market becomes easier, but because you become clearer. Now I want you to sit with this question, deeply, honestly, without running from it. What part of yourself have you been avoiding that the market keeps trying to show you? Fear? Impatience? Ego? Insecurity? Self-doubt? Lack of control? Need for validation? Fear of being wrong? Fear of failure? Fear of success? Comment below. I've seen what trading revealed about me. Because the moment you admit what the market has been trying to show you, you become the trader you were meant to be. If this helped you, like the video and subscribe for more old trading secrets. There is something the market does to you once you've been in this world long enough. It strips away every illusion you have about yourself. It doesn't happen in a single moment, or on a single trade, or during a single meltdown. It happens gradually, in pieces, like the ocean wearing down stone. Every loss, every hesitation, every moment of fear, every mistake, every impulse, every moment where your emotions override your logic, all of it becomes proof of who you truly are beneath the surface. And as those pieces fall away, the real question becomes not whether you can trade, but whether you can handle who you discover beneath the surface. Most people think trading changes you. But it doesn't. It reveals you. It shows you the beliefs you inherited. It shows you the fears you buried. It shows you the insecurities you forgot you carried. It shows you the lies you've told yourself. It shows you the identities you've outgrown. It shows you the expectations you cling to. It shows you the emotional scars you never dealt with. It shows you the patterns you repeat in every part of your life. And when the market reveals these things, it does so without mercy, without hesitation, without warning. Because the market doesn't care whether you're ready to see yourself. It only cares that you do. There was a point in my life where I believed I was a calm person. People told me I was composed. People told me I handled pressure well. People told me I had a good head on my shoulders. But then the market showed me the truth. I wasn't calm. I was numb. Calm is an inner stillness. Numb is lack of awareness. The market woke me up. I realized I wasn't handling pressure. I was avoiding feeling it. I wasn't patient. I was disconnected. I wasn't disciplined. I was detached. I wasn't rational. I was emotionally suppressed. Trading forced me into an emotional honesty I didn't know how to navigate. And that honesty was uncomfortable, even painful, because it meant seeing things about myself that I didn't want to see. The fear of losing wasn't about money. It was about repeating old failures. The fear of missing out wasn't about opportunity. It was about feeling left behind in life. The fear of being wrong wasn't about the trade. It was about the belief that being wrong made me unworthy. The fear of giving back profits wasn't about numbers. It was about scarcity. It was about a childhood where I felt like there was never enough. The hesitation to enter wasn't about confirmation. It was about doubting myself as a person. Not doubting the chart, doubting me. People think trading is a financial pursuit. But trading is an emotional biography written in real time. I once watched a trader exit every winning trade early. Not because the chart said to, but because he couldn't stand the feeling of possibility. Holding a winning trade didn't bring him joy. It brought him anxiety. Not because he feared losing money, but because he feared losing something good. He didn't trust good things to stay. And that had nothing to do with the market. It had everything to do with his past. The market didn't punish him. The market revealed him. I watched another trader hold losing trades far beyond logic. Not because he believed in the setup, but because the loss symbolized something deeper. It reminded him of failure. And he couldn't accept failure, not in trading, not in life. So he held, and held, and held, trying desperately to force the market to confirm a story he had been telling himself his whole life. I don't fail. But the market doesn't bend to your story. It bends you until you let go of it. I watched another trader over-leverage endlessly. Not because he lacked discipline, but because he was addicted to feeling in control. He grew up in chaos. He grew up powerless. Risk became the only place where he felt he had a say. He didn't want to trade. He wanted the feeling the trade gave him. He wanted control. And the moment the chart moved against him, that illusion shattered. And he shattered with it. The market didn't destroy him. The market showed him the part of himself he had never healed. And that's the truth most people never understand. Trading doesn't break you. It shows you where you are already broken. When you place a trade, you're not just entering the market, you're entering yourself. Every candle reflects a fear. Every hesitation reflects a memory. Every impulse reveals a wound. Every loss reveals a belief. Every win reveals a dependency. Every meltdown reveals a pattern. Every breakout reveals hope. Every pullback reveals doubt. The chart moves, but you move far more violently. And when you finally understand that, you stop trying to conquer the market and start trying to understand yourself. There was a day where this hit me harder than anything else in my career. The market was quiet. I was calm. I had followed my rules for weeks. I felt stable, focused, grounded. But then I took a losing trade, a small one, normal, insignificant. And yet the moment I closed it, I felt a wave of emotion that didn't belong to the session at all. It belonged to my past. I realized I wasn't upset about the trade. I was upset about every moment in my life where I felt like I wasn't good enough. The chart had nothing to do with it. The loss wasn't the trigger, my identity was. And that was the moment the truth hit me. You are not trading your strategy. You are trading your story, your childhood, your fears, your insecurities, your self-doubt, your need for validation, your unresolved past, your unexpressed emotions, your hidden wounds, your deepest beliefs, your inner world. The market simply reveals it. And once the market reveals it, you cannot unsee it. The parts of you that you've been avoiding, the ones you've buried, the ones you've worked around, the ones you've pretended were healed, the market brings all of them back to life. Not to punish you, but to free you. Because you cannot grow into the trader you want to be while carrying the weight of the person you used to be. And the market knows that. The market demands that. The market enforces that. You don't become consistent by learning a strategy. You become consistent by releasing the emotional debris that blocks clarity. You don't grow by trading more. You grow by seeing more. You don't evolve by avoiding yourself. You evolve by confronting yourself. The market forces you to face the version of yourself you've been afraid to become. And that version is the one a professional trader needs to be. If you've listened this far, then you're already ahead of 99% of traders. Because most people hear the truth and run from it. But you didn't run. Now I want you to reflect honestly. What part of you has the market shown you that you didn't want to see? Fear? Control issues? Self-doubt? Emotional avoidance? Impatience? Insecurity? The need for validation? The fear of being wrong? Admit it. Write it. Face it. Comment. I've seen what trading revealed about me. Because the moment you admit what the market already knows, you become free. But the journey doesn't end when the market shows you who you are. That is only the beginning. Because once you see yourself clearly, the next question becomes even more difficult. What will you do with the truth? Most traders never ask that question. They stop at awareness. They recognize they're emotional. They recognize they're impulsive. They recognize they avoid discomfort. They recognize they hold losers. They recognize they chase winners. They recognize they don't trust themselves. They recognize they are fearful. They recognize they are reactive. But recognition is not transformation. Seeing the wound is not healing it. Understanding the pattern is not breaking it. Knowing you're afraid is not courage. Knowing you're impulsive is not discipline. Knowing your tendencies is not mastery. The market doesn't reward people who see themselves. The market rewards people who rebuild themselves. And rebuilding is harder than any strategy, harder than any backtest, harder than any setup. Rebuilding requires tearing down the story you've carried your entire life. And that story is the heaviest thing you will ever let go of. I remember when I began the process of rebuilding. It didn't happen all at once, it happened slowly, in the quiet moments, in the hours where I wasn't trading at all. I started noticing things in my life that mirrored my trading flaws. It was like a web, everything connected. My hesitation in trades mirrored my hesitation in life. My fear of loss mirrored my fear of vulnerability. My overconfidence mirrored my need to hide insecurity. My impulsiveness mirrored my inability to slow down emotionally. My avoidance of losses mirrored my avoidance of uncomfortable conversations. My obsession with being right mirrored my fear of being judged. Trading didn't just reveal the parts of myself I feared to see, it revealed the parts of myself I had never admitted existed. And that realization was both devastating and liberating. Because how do you rebuild yourself when the foundation you've been standing on for decades is cracked? You rebuild by acknowledging that the cracks were always there. Trading didn't create them, trading just illuminated them. Most people think trading is about execution. They think it's about knowledge. They think it's about logic. But trading is far more emotional than people want to admit. Trading is about learning how to sit in the quiet. Trading is about learning how to remain yourself under pressure. Trading is about learning how to remain rational in chaos. Trading is about learning how to stay grounded when everything inside you wants to react. Trading is about learning how to trust yourself. Trading is about learning how to release control. Trading is about learning how to stop chasing certainty. Trading is about learning how to stop running from discomfort. Trading is about learning how to confront the rawest parts of who you are. The more I rebuilt, the more the market changed, not because the market actually changed, but because I did. Suddenly I could see things with new clarity. I could feel the difference between a biased thought and a logical one. I could feel the difference between a trade I wanted and a trade that was actually there. I could feel the difference between fear and intuition. I could feel the difference between stillness and stagnation. I could feel the difference between impulse and opportunity. The market became quieter. Not because the volatility diminished, but because my mind did. That's when I realized something powerful. You don't need more confidence to trade. You need less noise. Confidence is not built by taking wins. Confidence is built by trusting your ability to stay grounded in the truth. The problem is that most traders seek confidence through results. They try to win their way into emotional stability. But results don't create stability, identity does. If you trade from fear, no amount of winning will make you feel safe. If you trade from insecurity, no amount of profit will make you feel worthy. If you trade from desperation, no amount of success will make you feel fulfilled. Because a broken foundation does not become stable with money. A broken foundation becomes stable with truth. And the truth is this. The market reveals exactly who you are, and then asks whether you're willing to evolve. It tests you not for punishment, but for calibration. Every emotional reaction is a calibration. Every hesitation is a calibration. Every impulse is a calibration. Every loss is a calibration. Everything you feel on the chart is a reflection of something you have yet to master in yourself. You cannot force the market to behave. But you can learn to behave within the market. And that is the difference between the trader who grows and the trader who repeats. People ask me all the time, What separates the ones who make it from the ones who don't? They expect me to say discipline. They expect me to say strategy. They expect me to say patience. They expect me to say risk management. And all of these things matter, but they are not the foundation. The truth is simpler and much harder. The ones who make it are the ones who are willing to confront the parts of themselves the market exposes. The ones who don't run from themselves. They close the chart, but the emotions follow them. They stop trading, but the wounds remain. They change strategies, but the patterns repeat. They blame the market, but the reflection goes unexamined. You can change strategies 100 times, but if the person making the decisions remains the same, the outcome will always remain the same. You don't need a different strategy. You need a different self. A self that is aware. A self that is honest. A self that is unafraid to look inward. A self that is willing to feel discomfort. A self that can sit with fear without reacting. A self that can watch opportunity without chasing. A self that can watch loss without collapsing. A self that doesn't need excitement. A self that doesn't need validation. A self that doesn't need emotional rescue. A self that can simply see. Because trading is not about predicting the market. Trading is about perceiving yourself. And once you perceive yourself with clarity, with honesty, with humility, with depth, you stop reacting. You start responding. And the entire world of trading opens up to you. Now I want you to sit with the question I asked before, but this time with deeper honesty, without flinching, without hiding, without protecting the narrative you've built around your identity. What has trading shown you about yourself that you were not ready to see? Write it. Acknowledge it. Own it. Because the moment you admit the truth the market has been showing you is the moment the market stops needing to shout it. Comment below. I've seen what trading revealed about me. And if this brought you clarity, like the video and subscribe for more old trading secrets.